Welcome back, football lovers, to episode 17 of our World Cup 2026 daily journey. I am Arthur, alongside my ever-analytical daughter, Nora. Today, we are looking at a day of historical firsts, a Viking B team getting dismantled, and a debutant writing history by doing, well, the bare minimum.
It is the beauty of the 48-team format, Dad. You don't always need perfection to progress. Sometimes you just need the math to work in your favor. I've been running the numbers on the latest standings in groups G, H, and I, and the margins are incredibly thin.
Math indeed, Nora. But let's start with the drama we witnessed yesterday. Germany lost. Gonzalo Plata with a golden touch to send Ecuador through to the last 32. It was a massive shock to the system, though Germany still tops the group. They looked a bit complacent, perhaps lacking that traditional German grit.
I wouldn't call it purely a lack of grit. If you look at Germany's big chances missed, the data tells a story of inefficiency rather than lethargy. They dominated possession, but their shots on target per 90 took a dive. Ecuador just capitalized on a low-probability transition moment. It happens, but Germany advancing as group winners shows their baseline quality is still intact.
Fair enough. But there was no masking Norway's issues. They decided to rest Erling Haaland and a few other key starters against France. A Viking B team, essentially. And France, well, Ousmane Dembélé made them pay dearly with a stunning 32-minute hat trick in the first half. It felt like watching a maestro conduct an orchestra while the audience was still taking their seats.
Dembélé was absolutely ruthless. Looking at his expected goals on target, or XGOT, he vastly overperformed. He wasn't just taking good shots, he was placing them perfectly into the corners. His expected goals and expected assists per 90 this tournament is skyrocketing. Norway's tactical gamble completely backfired, leaving their defensive line exposed to one of the most clinical wingers in the world right now.
And we must mention Senegal keeping their hopes alive with a 5-0 rout over a 10-man Iraq. The first ever 5-goal performance by an African nation at a World Cup. Then you have Cabo Verde. They advance without winning a single game after a draw with Saudi Arabia. Just drawing their way into the knockouts, it's romantic in a very unconventional way.
It's efficiency in its purest form. But let's transition to a team we haven't deep dived into yet, Iran. They have a massive match coming up against Egypt, and their tactical setup is fascinating. They are operating in a highly disciplined mid-block, focusing heavily on tackles per 90 and disruption rather than possession. They are deliberately suppressing the overall expected goals of the match.
I've noticed that. They don't mind playing without the ball, waiting for that one moment to strike. It reminds me of the classic underdog teams from the late 90s who would just frustrate the Giants until they made a mistake. It is a war of attrition out there on the pitch.
Exactly. Their big chances created metric is extremely low, but their conversion rate is keeping them in the mix. They force opponents into wide areas and rely on aerial superiority in the box. It is not the most fluid football, but when you look at the heat maps, their defensive shape is almost impenetrable through the central channels. Egypt is going to have a very hard time breaking them down.
It is that defensive heart that makes the World Cup so special. But, you know, Nora, when we talk about attacking flair and taking the game by the scruff of the neck, my mind often wanders back to the greats. Today, I was thinking about the Black Panther himself, Eusebio. The aura that man had in 1966 was unmatched.
He is widely considered one of the greatest African-born players of all time, right? What made him stand out so much in that specific era?
It was his explosive power and sheer will. I remember watching old tapes of the quarterfinal against North Korea. Portugal was down 3-0 in the first 25 minutes. Most teams would crumble. But Eusebio just took the ball, looked at the opposition, and scored 4 consecutive goals. He played with a grace and a ferocity that could turn a match entirely on its head.
If we had tracking data from 1966, I would love to see his goals plus assists metrics. Given his shot power, his expected goals on target would have been off the charts. He was essentially a modern athlete dropped into the mid-20th century.
He was indeed a pioneer. But speaking of the modern era, what on earth is happening off the pitch? You always have some peculiar internet stories for me.
Oh, you are going to love this one. The social media trend analysis is wild today. First, there's a massive Viking row trending online with Norwegian fans debating the manager's decision to bench Holland. But the funniest thing? A viral clip led to the Freddie Waffle House ambassador getting invited for a tour of the White House. The internet has officially merged meme culture with global diplomacy during this tournament.
A Waffle House ambassador? At the White House? I will never pretend to understand your generation's internet, Nora. I miss the days when off-the-pitch news was just a player getting a slightly controversial haircut.
Welcome to 2026, Dad. The tournament ecosystem is 24/7.
Well, returning to the actual football, we have some fascinating matches today that will finalize groups G, H, and I. Egypt takes on Iran, as you mentioned, and New Zealand faces Belgium.
The stakes are incredibly high for the final bracket placements. Which match are we sitting down to watch tonight?
I think we absolutely have to watch New Zealand against Belgium together. The Belgians always bring a level of technical drama, and the Kiwis have that never-say-die attitude. It should be a fantastic clash of styles.
Agreed. I'll get the heat maps ready on the tablet. You get the snacks.
A perfect compromise. Thank you to everyone listening to episode 17. Join us tomorrow as the knockout picture becomes crystal clear. Until then, enjoy the beautiful game.